Hey, what's good guys? Welcome back to the channel. Yesterday the card effects were revealed for the Aqua Force inspired right line in OverDress. Flagship Flagberg Dragon, like many believed, is actually just a ripoff of original Maelstrom. His effects feel like a scrapped version of the V-series equivalent of the BT-08 Maelstrom, who instead got the Tetra Drive skill. So his skill says, when this unit attacks, cost, counterblast 1, and perform the following actions according to the number of attacks this turn. 3 or more, draw a card. 4 or more, choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards and retire them. 5 or more, until the end of the battle, this unit gets plus 10k, and when your opponent will call cards from their hand to the Guardian Circle, they must call 3 or more cards at the same time. I expected him to go this route where we receive different effects based on the number of attacks we have performed that turn, but I'm not sure I'm happy with these effects yet. Unlike some of the other OverDress bosses, this card's effects aren't infinitely scalable with future support, like let's say Zorga or Magnolia or even some of the budget bosses. That being said, they decided to make his support unique to him, and so we should take a look at those cards before we make further judgment. Like any OverDress deck, we have the draw 1 starter when we go second. For the grade 1 we received Inroad Shooter. When this unit is rode upon by Ascendance Assault, call this card to the rearguard circle. And if your Vanguard is Flagship Dragon or Ascendance Assault, this unit gets Intercept and plus 2k. This seems to promote some early game rushing, but does reduce our available soul. Being a Nirvana player that runs a high number of Reno in the deck, I do really like this type of effect. Ascendance Assault. His ability says, this ability's cost may be paid with Reveal a Flagship Dragon or an Inroad Shooter, Inroad Shooting being a grade 1, from your hand. When this unit is rode upon, cost Soul Blast 1, so it's Soul Blast 1 or Reveal a card, and call this card to the rearguard circle. When your other rearguard attacks a Vanguard, if your Vanguard is Flagship Dragon, cost Counterblast 1 and stand this unit. For our grade 2 we have a very similar effect to our grade 1, where if you run enough copies of the grade 1 and the persona right, that you'll likely be able to call him for free when he's rode upon. But once again he reduces our soul. This leaves us with a single soul blast available if we manage to use his skill to call him for free, and 0 if we have to pay the cost to call him. This is our first restander for a Counterblast 1, which is fine, and I don't think we have seen anything like this before where he restands whenever another unit attacks. For the non-right deck cards, we start with Aqua's Blue Dragon. His skill says at the end of the battle that this unit attacks a rearguard. If your Vanguard is Flagship Dragon, Flagberg Dragon, cost Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit. Aggress is a restander. If he swings into a rearguard, he only costs 1 Soul Blast, which is interesting. For one of the grade 1s, we received High Rate Burst Dragon. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is Flagship Dragon, choose one of your other rearguards and until the end of the turn they get the skill. When this unit attacks, if it's the first battle of the turn, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit. Giving any of our units the Algo's effect is quite nice and allows some units to attack 3 times, which means any power boosting we are able to do will be put to good use. It does cost 1 Counterblast and 1 Soul Blast, which means we need to look for ways to replenish those resources, as so far we've only been expending them. Creed Assault is a grade 2, who says if your rearguard was not stood by an ability this turn, this unit cannot attack. Second, during the battle this unit attacked a Vanguard, this unit gets plus 10k. I don't know how I feel about this ability. It in itself doesn't help us get to the 5th wave, and sure it does have power game, but it does seem a bit awkward of a card to get the benefits from. Then there was one of the cards that was revealed a bit earlier, but seems to be very vital to the strategy. Prized Trident. His skill states, when your other unit attacks, if it's the 5th battle of this turn or more, put this unit in your soul and countercharge 1. This means we get soul charge and countercharge, which gives us free soul for the next turn, and counterblast when our Vanguard wants to counterblast for his skill, which you pretty much always want to do. Next up I have a couple of honorable mentions. First being Blooming Petal Caryophyllus. It's a card that says when placed on rearguard circle, if your soul has no cards, soul charge 2. It might be a good way to replenish some soul, but it's a 9k attacker, so that's a bit of an odd number to work around with. It also doesn't help us get to that 5th wave. Next up is Aspiring Maiden Arana. It's the new critical trigger. It's obviously a great way to replenish some soul. It does have boosting potential and gives the 2k to another unit. I don't know yet what units like the 2k in the deck. I don't think there is any that really has a good way to abuse it, but it might be a great way to get some soul during the battle phase. The order card, In Search of an Ideal Faraway. It says choose one of your units and until the end of the turn it gets auto. When your other unit attacks, this unit gets plus 5k until the end of turn. This means that you could give it to your Vanguard and get a really beefy Vanguard. As you know, you have 4 other swings before that, so that's plus 20k. But if you give it to one of your rear guards, one of the restanders as well, they get to do multiple swings with high power, and since it doesn't cost a counterblast, this might be interesting, since it's just a power gainer for your restanders. There's a grade 1 that was revealed, which is actually supposed to be in the Zorga playstyle, Desiring Wild Crow. His ability says, if you played an order this turn, you can discard an order card from your hand and draw a card. I'm thinking that there might be a playstyle where you want to use Flagberg with a more order-oriented deck, just to be able to abuse some other cards that are further on in this list, and so I think this card, which cycles through your deck, might be interesting. Conspiring Mutant Adamantis. This is one of the cards from the first set, which was then already being praised as the best card in Stoicheia, the one that saves the nation. His skill says, when this unit is placed, choose one of your other rear guards and they get plus 5k. So being able to give plus 5k to any of your restanders means that they're swinging for 15, which means they hit over that base power of your grade 3 Vanguard of your opponent. So they're getting above that 13k, which normally they have trouble with since they're all base 10k. There is the order card Spiritual Body Condensation, which says for Soul Blast 1, choose a card with grade equal or less than your Vanguard from your drop and call it to rear and give it plus 5k. This means you're able to intercept with a unit, call it back, give it that extra power, and now it can swing more reliably. So this might be interesting. The problem is it also uses soul, so I don't know if it's even possible to include this right now. Nectar of Sensationalism. It's an order card from the current set, from DBT02, that says choose one of your rear guards and until the end of the turn it gets 5k for every 5 cards in your drop zone, and if your drop has 15 or more cards, it gets a critical. So for anyone that played Aqua Force in the past, being able to give power and critical to your tidal assaults was just the way to go. And this is pretty much a card that's capable of giving that to any of your units during your main phase, which means that if you use the other skill that gives a unit the ability to restand on the first, and then maybe later on during the turn, which means you get 3 swings with an extra critical and an extra 15k, I think that might be the way to build this deck if we don't really focus on our Vanguard skill too much. So I'm thinking about looking into a way how I can incorporate this card into the deck. And lastly, a card which I don't think is really gonna be that good, but it's worth mentioning, Sylvanhorn Beast Agleo. It's a card that was revealed in the first set as well, which says cost, retire this unit and choose 2 of your units and they get plus 5k. It's another way to just give your front row that power that it needs to swing if you're not on a Persona right turn, but it's a -1 to hand, which we probably don't want to do too often. So that's it for all the cards I think could work with this archetype. I'm going to look into a little combo and try to upload that later on, but I hope that you enjoyed this first video, and let's discuss down below how we should build this deck going forward. With that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.